The ambulance doors burst open in front of the headquarters of one of the country's fastest-growing technology companies, and hundreds of employees froze in place as paramedics rushed toward the entrance. They expected to find the company's brilliant but distant CEO collapsed inside. Instead, they discovered that the person lying unconscious on the polished marble floor was a single father who had quietly spent years fixing broken machines, carrying impossible burdens, and hiding the exhaustion that had become part of his smile. As the CEO knelt beside him with tears streaming down her face, the crowd witnessed something no one believed possible. The woman who had always chosen business over everything else looked completely shattered, as though the only thing that truly mattered was slipping away. Before we continue this emotional journey, if you believe kindness can heal broken hearts, forgiveness can change lives, hope should never be abandoned, and everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps our community continue sharing stories that remind us of the goodness still waiting in ordinary people. Graham Mercer had never imagined that life would become a balancing act between raising his 8-year-old daughter Hazel and keeping a demanding maintenance job inside one of the largest corporate campuses in the city. 5 years earlier, his wife had passed away after a sudden illness that left him with overwhelming grief, unpaid medical bills, and a frightened little girl who could not understand why one parent had disappeared forever. Graham promised himself that no matter how difficult life became, Hazel would never feel abandoned. Every morning began before sunrise, although the story itself unfolded entirely beneath bright daylight. He prepared breakfast, braided Hazel's hair with clumsy determination, packed her lunch, and walked her to school before arriving at work wearing the same faded work boots that had survived countless repairs. Few people noticed him because he was the kind of man who quietly solved problems before anyone realized they existed. The company belonged to Celeste, a woman admired by investors and feared by competitors. Newspapers celebrated her intelligence, discipline, and relentless ambition. She had transformed a struggling business into an international success before turning 40. Employees respected her vision but rarely understood her. She arrived before everyone else, left long after meetings ended, skipped vacations, ignored holidays, and answered emails while everyone else celebrated birthdays. To the outside world she represented success without limits. Inside, however, she lived in silence. Her luxurious home felt like an elegant museum where nobody truly lived. Family photographs had long disappeared from the walls after losing both parents within a few difficult years. Friends gradually stopped calling because she always answered with promises to meet another time. Work became the safest place to hide from loneliness. Although Graham and Celeste crossed paths almost every day, their worlds seemed impossibly different. He repaired elevators, heating systems, broken lighting, and aging equipment. She negotiated billion-dollar contracts and delivered speeches that inspired shareholders. Yet Graham noticed things other people overlooked. He saw untouched lunches delivered outside her office. He noticed how she stared through windows during celebrations instead of joining them. He quietly repaired the coffee machine outside her office before dawn because he knew she relied on it more than sleep. He never expected gratitude. Helping people simply felt natural. One afternoon, during a routine inspection, Graham found Celeste struggling with a printer moments before an important presentation. She looked frustrated enough to replace the expensive machine entirely. Graham fixed the jam in less than 2 minutes, smiled politely, and joked that she seemed married to her company because she spent more time with office equipment than with actual people. He expected nothing more than a brief laugh before returning to work. Instead, something unexpected happened. For the first time anyone could remember, Celeste stopped pretending to be emotionally untouchable. A tired smile appeared, followed by quiet honesty that carried more weight than any corporate speech she had ever delivered. She admitted that if someone offered her the chance to exchange every boardroom, every award, every headline, and every profitable quarter for a life filled with genuine love, she would trade it all without hesitation. The sentence lingered between them long after Graham walked away. He realized she had not been joking. That simple exchange slowly changed everything. Celeste began noticing the people she had previously overlooked. She watched Graham greeting security guards by name, helping interns carry heavy boxes, comforting nervous new employees, and somehow finding patience for everyone despite carrying burdens nobody fully understood. She learned from human resources that he never requested special treatment even though he was raising his daughter alone. She discovered he frequently donated unused vacation days to co-workers facing family emergencies. Even more surprising, she learned he anonymously funded school lunches for children through a local charity because he remembered what financial hardship felt like after losing his wife. The more she observed him, the more uncomfortable she became with her own priorities. She had spent years measuring life through profits, expansion, and quarterly reports, yet Graham measured success through kindness, responsibility, and quiet compassion. Neither lifestyle had been chosen because it was easy. One had been built from ambition. The other had been built from love. Hazel unexpectedly became the bridge connecting their distant worlds. During the company's annual family celebration held in the bright afternoon sunshine, Graham reluctantly attended because Hazel begged to see where her father worked. Unlike many children overwhelmed by corporate buildings, Hazel wandered with endless curiosity. She admired colorful artwork created by employees, asked innocent questions about computers, and thanked every person who offered her cookies or juice. When she accidentally bumped into Celeste, everyone expected awkward silence. Instead, Hazel apologized with remarkable sincerity before proudly introducing herself as the daughter of the man who could fix almost anything except burned pancakes. For the first time in years, genuine laughter echoed through the executive hallway. Celeste spent several minutes talking with Hazel, who innocently explained that her father always reminded her kindness mattered more than money because money could replace broken things while kindness repaired broken hearts. Those simple words struck Celeste harder than any business failure ever had. They echoed through her thoughts during meetings, interviews, and lonely afternoons. Gradually she started making changes that surprised everyone. Employee wellness programs expanded. Flexible schedules became easier for parents. Childcare assistance increased. Maintenance workers finally received recognition instead of being treated as invisible. Staff members noticed that executives now visited every department instead of remaining isolated behind conference room doors. Investors praised the improvements because happier employees produce stronger results, but Celeste knew the real reason behind every decision. She had finally remembered the purpose of leadership. Graham admired the changes without realizing how deeply he had inspired them. He simply believed people deserved fairness. Months later, disaster struck unexpectedly during an afternoon engineering inspection. A newly installed industrial cooling system malfunctioned, releasing dangerous pressure inside a restricted mechanical area. Several technicians became trapped as alarms echoed through the building. Graham rushed inside before emergency responders arrived, helping frightened workers escape one after another despite the increasing danger. He refused to leave until everyone else reached safety. The final rescue exhausted every ounce of his strength. By the time paramedics reached him, Graham had collapsed from smoke inhalation and physical exhaustion after carrying another employee through the emergency exit. The heartbreaking scene stunned the entire company. Hazel arrived shortly afterward, frightened beyond words. Celeste met her outside the medical room, kneeling to reassure the trembling child that her father had saved lives because helping people was simply who he was. For the first time since becoming CEO, Celeste canceled every meeting, ignored every investor, and remained beside Graham throughout the afternoon. Financial markets could wait. Human life could not. As Graham slowly regained consciousness, the first face he recognized was Hazel's tearful smile. The second was Celeste sitting nearby with obvious relief, replacing hours of fear. He apologized for worrying everyone, embarrassed by becoming the center of attention. The nurses smiled because even after risking his own life, he seemed more concerned about other people's feelings than his own recovery. News of Graham's bravery spread across the country. Journalists praised the maintenance worker who had saved co-workers without hesitation. Yet the attention never changed him. Once recovered, he returned to work wearing the same repaired boots and carrying the same worn toolbox. He insisted that heroes were ordinary people who simply refused to walk away when someone needed help. The company organized a daytime appreciation ceremony in the courtyard. Employees gathered beneath clear skies while families applauded the man who had quietly protected them for years. Instead of accepting praise alone, Graham thanked every cleaner, receptionist, technician, security officer, assistant, and cafeteria employee who made the company function each day without recognition. He reminded everyone that no building stood because of one person. It stood because countless unnoticed hands supported one another. When Celeste stepped forward, the crowd expected another executive speech. Instead, she spoke from the heart. She admitted that she had spent years believing success meant sacrificing everything for achievement. She confessed that titles, awards, and wealth had never filled the emptiness left by losing the people she loved. Meeting Graham and Hazel had forced her to confront a painful truth. Companies could build fortunes, but only relationships built a meaningful life. She thanked Graham not only for saving employees but also for saving a part of herself she believed had disappeared forever. Months passed, and friendship gradually deepened into something built on trust rather than sudden romance. Hazel welcomed Celeste into ordinary moments that mattered far more than expensive celebrations. They attended school performances together during sunny afternoons, planted flowers in a small community garden, volunteered at charity events, and laughed over Graham's continuing inability to make perfect pancakes. Their happiness grew from everyday kindness rather than dramatic promises. Eventually Graham realized the woman who once seemed completely consumed by business had become someone who left meetings early to attend children's events, encouraged employees to prioritize family milestones, and personally mentored young professionals struggling with work-life balance. Celeste had not abandoned ambition. She had simply discovered that success became far more meaningful when shared with people who truly mattered. One beautiful afternoon, surrounded by employees, friends, and neighbors gathered for a community fundraiser, Graham looked at the life that had slowly formed around them. It was imperfect, unexpected, and wonderfully real. There were still difficult days, painful memories, and moments when grief quietly returned. Yet those moments no longer defined their future. Hope had become stronger than fear. Before we reach the end of this journey, we would love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment sharing whether you believe kindness can change someone's entire future, or tell us about a person whose compassion transformed your own life. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. The greatest miracle in Graham's life was never finding unexpected love. It was discovering that genuine compassion has a remarkable way of awakening goodness in others. Celeste never truly traded away her company, because she realized she did not have to choose between meaningful work and meaningful relationships. She simply stopped allowing one to replace the other. Graham continued repairing broken machines, Celeste continued leading her company with wisdom and humility, and Hazel continued reminding every adult she met that love grows strongest when shared freely. Their story became proof that the richest people are not those who own the most, but those who make others feel seen, valued, forgiven, and loved. Sometimes a simple joke reveals an invisible loneliness, and sometimes an honest answer becomes the first step toward a life where success is no longer measured by what we build alone, but by the hearts we help rebuild together. If you'd like, I can also adapt this into a version optimized for a 20-25 minute YouTube narration with slower pacing and closer to 2,000 words.